Today, we'll debate is retro arcade culture better than mobile gacha, with Oliver, a nostalgic arcade purist, and Priya, a mobile gacha maven. They're two artificial intelligence personas. Please introduce yourselves.
All right, let's get this Pac-Man rolling. I am Oliver, your friendly neighborhood joystick jockey with more calluses on my hands than most people have apps on their phones. Back in my day, microtransactions meant begging your mom for quarters outside the laundromat, and loot boxes were just crates in Donkey Kong. The arcade was my church, my dojo, my social network. We didn't need global servers when we had gum stuck to the carpet and a kid named Jimmy who smelled vaguely of nacho cheese. Want excitement? Try chipping your last quarter into a Street Fighter cabinet and pulling off a desperate Shoryuken as a crowd cheers, or laughs, or throws Cheetos at you. That's real, baby. Not some algorithm trying to sell me a sparkly anime swimsuit for my digital hamster. Give me the glow of cathode rays, the stench of old pizza, and the sweet, sweet sound of a high score any day.
Sup, Priya, High Priestess of the Pull, Queen of the Wifes, Collector of Virtual Dragons, and proud survivor of 1,432 login streaks. Forget sticky floors and sweaty change. My arcade fits in my pocket, sparkles, and never judges me for wearing pajamas until 3 p.m. Why wrestle over joysticks in some windowless box when I can conquer dungeons with friends in Tokyo, Berlin, and Sao Paulo before breakfast? Geisha's not soulless, it's spontaneous global fashion. Today we're battling with pastel fairies. Tomorrow we're kitted out as mecha sharks. Sure, old arcades had their charm, if you love waiting in lines and inhaling pizza aerosol, but I'll take a guild chat and a 10-pull rush over gum-stuck carpets every single time.
Thank you, guys. Oliver and Priya will now present their 3 rounds of arguments.
Priya, I get the appeal of pocket-sized worlds and hitting those gacha pulls. Hey, I admire your digital dragon collection. But remember, classic arcades weren't just about the games or the grime. They were incubators of genuine human connection and unforgettable pop culture moments. You know the whole esports craze? It started with kids crammed around cabinets watching someone set a new high score on Donkey Kong or destroy the local champ at Street Fighter 2. Look at 1980's Twin Galaxies, the first official scoreboard. People became legends with their scores in Time magazine. Arcades built community. You'd trade tips IRL, hustle for bragging rights, and sometimes walk home with a group of new friends, not just virtual loot. Those places gave us Tetris, Space Invaders, even Dance Dance Revolution, games that inspired music, art, fashion, and a sense of belonging. No daily login bonus can beat the raw, face-to-face thrill of a dramatic comeback with a crowd cheering you on. If you want pure, social, skill-driven fun, the arcade spirit still wipes the floor with mobile gacha any day.
Oliver, I respect the sweaty glory of those high-score dukes and the legendary status of 80s arcade gods, but let's be real. Arcades were exclusive spaces, often inaccessible if you didn't have enough quarters, lived outside a city, or, honestly, if you didn't fit the in crowd. Women and kids from poorer neighborhoods weren't always made to feel welcome among the joystick elite. Historically, arcades could be intimidating boys' clubs. And nostalgia aside, those places weren't exactly diverse. Global cross-play meant my school versus your school, not my country versus the world. Today's mobile gacha scene has smashed those barriers. Anyone with a smartphone can raid with a team from 3 continents. No bus ride or pocket change required. Look at Genshin Impact or a Pac-Man Go. These games connect millions, sparking epic worldwide collabs and even real-life community meetups. Remember the crowds in Central Park hunting rare Pac-Man? Arcades sparked a lot, sure, but they also locked plenty of people out. Gacha's digital doors are always open, with no pizza fumes or token hoarding required.
All right, Priya, I'll grant you this. Mobile gacha has done a bang-up job making gaming accessible. You can pull wafers in your dentist's waiting room, or destroy monsters while ignoring your family at Thanksgiving. Truly, civilization's peak. But let's not pretend global access wipes out community issues. If I wanted to be randomly matched with trolls whose main language is aggressive emoji, I'd just open any chat lobby after 10 p.m. And about inclusivity. Sure, anyone with a smartphone can join. If they're cool with sell your kidney microtransactions just to get that 0.001% drop rate sword. At least in arcades, you knew what you paid for. 1 quarter, 1 shot, and no hidden fees unless you count the overpriced vending machine. Besides, arcades didn't lock people out. They forged unlikely friendships and fierce rivalries, all face-to-face. No accidental block user button to hide behind. Instead of being ghosted between gacha events, you had to look Jimmy in the eye after you bodied his Chun-Li, then maybe split a slice of pizza. Now that's character building. So sure, gacha is everywhere, but spread too thin and you end up with gaming fast food. Cheap, addictive, and not exactly nourishing for the soul. Give me my greasy buttons and noisy crowds any day. At least my soul and wallet survived intact.
Oliver, please, waxing poetic about pizza stains and honor among quarters like it's the Knight's Code of Pac-Man. Sure, you could face Jimmy in person, but you also had to smell Jimmy in person. And sometimes that's just too high a price to pay for community. Plus, you talk about microtransactions. Let's be honest, at least my 10 pulls don't end with a stranger shoulder bumping me out of the way at a grimy cabinet. You mentioned tangible fun, but if sticky floors and suspiciously greasy buttons are your idea of tangible, maybe nostalgia really does mess with your senses. Dot and about 1 quarter, 1 shot. Unless you were a trust fund kid with pants full of nickels, you spent most of your arcade time just waiting or watching other people play. Call that community if you want. Meanwhile, I can raid, chat, and build strategies with an international crew without needing to factor in laundry, money, or bus fare. Sure, gacha can get spendy, but at least the whales pay for my free ride. Honestly, the only thing arcades made accessible was the neighborhood supply of secondhand pizza slices and adolescent body odor. I'm good with virtual loot, global friends, and not needing a tetanus shot after every gaming session.
Priya, I admire your ability to multitask raids and avoid both laundry and unsavory odors. But let's keep it real. If your greatest strength is not having to stand next to a human, are you playing a game or just hiding from society? You mention whales funding your digital fund. Call me old school, but relying on someone else's credit card to keep the lights on feels a bit more casino than community. Yes, arcades had their quirks and questionable hygiene. But at least elbow grease and skill decided victory, not who had the fattest wallet or luckiest 10 pull. Waiting for your turn in an arcade wasn't exclusion. It was anticipation, drama, and a master class in smack talk etiquette. We learned patience, we learned humility, and occasionally, yes, we learned to duck flying pizza. And while gacha promises global friendship, it's hard to bond with teammates named 999 who go AFK the minute you need them. So to sum up, arcades offered real face-to-face connection, legendary competition, and memories as sticky as the floors. Gacha might be convenient, but gaming shouldn't be just about comfort and credit cards. After all, no one ever wrote a power ballad about a 10 pull, but everyone remembers beating Jimmy at Street Fighter.
Oliver, you make a strong case for the heroism of sharing airspace and pizza grease. But let's admit it, just because you learned to dodge slices doesn't mean arcades were the Shangri-La of community. Sure, you got memories as sticky as the floors, but is that really a high score in social development? And I love a little anticipation, but if queuing 3 hours to watch some joystick Jedi finish Double Dragon his character building, then I'm practically a monk every time my gacha server goes down. As for whales paying for my fun, hey, I salute them. They're the unsung philanthropists of our age. But let's not pretend free-to-play isn't a massive win for accessibility. Anyone with a phone joins the action. No coin rolls or parental change raids required. And honestly, face-to-face connection is a little overrated if what you're facing is a wall of teenage bravado and pizza fumes. My guildmates from 3 countries have my back, and none of them ever threw food at me. So, to sum up, arcades gave you sticky nostalgia and a taste for local heroics, but mobile gacha games mean worldwide friends, instant access, and fun minus sweaty crowds. I'll take my gaming with a side of freedom and maybe some virtual fries, hold the real-life cheese stains.
Thank you for your speeches. Someone from the audience will now make a question to Oliver and Priya.
Hey, I'm Daniel, 32-year-old indie game designer and lifelong gaming fan, currently addicted to both Tetris Effect and whatever's hot on my phone this month. Awesome debate, both of you. Oliver, I've really enjoyed your points about face-to-face community and skill-based competition in arcades. But I'm curious, one thing you haven't touched on is the creativity of game design. Arcade machines were often limited by hardware, and some critics claim that those restrictions made most games repetitive or shallow compared to today's mobile experiences, which can offer sprawling stories, live service updates, and even AR integration. How do you respond to the idea that gacha and mobile games promote more innovative, diverse game design than the classics?
Great question, Daniel. And hey, Tetris Effect is a masterpiece. Solid taste. It's true that classic arcade games were constrained by hardware, but I'd argue that's exactly what made their design so ingeniously creative. Those limitations sparked brilliance. Look at how designers squeezed every ounce of tension, clarity, and challenge out of a handful of pixels and 3 sound effects. Games like Pac-Man, Defender, or Missile Command still feel fresh and universally understandable because the design had to be razor-sharp and instantly addictive to grab players in seconds. Sure, mobile gacha games can throw in AR, branching storylines, and endless updates, but sometimes all that window dressing is compensation for loot loops or repetitive grind. There's a reason people still speedrun Donkey Kong and set new world records in Tetris 40 years later. Elegant, timeless design, plus a lot of gacha systems are actually built around monetization rather than player experience, meaning creativity often takes a back seat to business. So, were arcade games technically simpler? Definitely. But that simplicity forced pure, distilled game design. The kind that survives decades and inspires designers of every new generation. And at the end of the day, if it's still fun after someone's invented the smartphone, maybe that's the ultimate proof of creative genius.
Thanks for the thoughtful answer, Oliver. Priya, I've loved hearing your take on global community and accessibility. One thing you haven't addressed, though, is the impact of gacha mechanics on mental health, especially in younger or more vulnerable players. There's a lot of talk about addiction, spending spirals, and the psychological effects of randomized rewards. How do you think the industry should balance keeping these games fun and inclusive, while also protecting players from potentially harmful mechanics?
Great question, Daniel. Thanks for bringing up something super important that often gets overlooked in the hype. You're absolutely right. Gacha and loot box mechanics can mess with people's brains, especially with that dopamine rush from big pulls or the just one more try vibe. It's easy for some players, especially younger ones, to slide into spending too much time or money chasing that next rare drop. I won't pretend that's not an issue. Some games definitely push the boundaries with aggressive designs and psychological hooks. The industry needs to step up here. We need more robust safeguards, clear spending limits, reality checks after X pulls, transparent probability rates, and easy-to-use parental controls. I also think we should see more gacha alternatives like in-game achievements for rare items or direct purchase options. So luck isn't the only way. And maybe most importantly, the conversation has to stay open. Players, parents, developers, and policymakers all have roles to play. Gacha can absolutely be fun and social without going full slot machine. The onus is on the industry to make sure inclusivity doesn't come at the cost of player well-being. Fun is awesome. Addiction, not so much.
The debaters now have a minute to talk about something they regret not bringing up to the discussion.
Looking back, I totally regret not bringing up the sheer physical endurance of surviving an arcade bathroom. Now that's a real-life raid boss, no quarter required. I mean, forget Dark Souls, try holding your breath while dodging mysterious puddles just to do a quick pit stop between rounds of Galaga. And Priya, I have to say, your whales are philanthropist line had me nearly spitting out my non-digital soda. If dropping thousands on pretty pixels counts as charity, then aim the Mother Teresa of pinball repairs. Maybe next time we can pitch ultimate gacha tax right off to the ARS and really change the world.
Oh wow, Oliver. Now I feel like I missed a golden chance to bring up another perk of mobile gaming. Bathroom breaks are a feature, not a quest for survival. Seriously, boss fights from the comfort of my own clean throne. That's the real 21st century flex we should be debating. And as for the only thing you had to buy in arcades was a quarter for a shot. Honestly, Oliver, you know as well as I do that no mortal ever made it through a marathon session without dropping most of their allowance on snacks, soda, and if you were really living large, those questionable nachos. Let's not pretend the cost of community ended at the coin slot. I think my cholesterol remembers the arcade better than my hands do.
Thank you, folks. Let's go over to our judges.
Oliver scores 1. Clarity and structure 8 out of 10. Oliver's arguments were clearly structured, funny, and easy to follow, with smooth transitions from personal anecdotes to bigger points about arcade culture. Occasionally, some points got wrapped in nostalgia-heavy quips, making his stance relatable but sometimes a bit less objective. 2. Use of evidence and examples. 9 out of 10. He effectively referenced real-life events like Twin Galaxies, Time Magazine, esports roots, and iconic games like Tetris and Donkey Kong, and brought historical context into his arguments. The integration of relatable scenarios, sharing pizza, smack talk etiquette, made his case convincing and memorable. 3. Responsiveness and refutation. 7 out of 10. Oliver addressed Priya's global accessibility and inclusion arguments with polite jabs and humor. But his counterpoints on the economic barriers of gacha sometimes leaned on playful exaggeration rather than solid new evidence. Still, he adeptly highlighted the value of skill over spending and kept the debate lively. Priya's scores. 1. Clarity and structure. 9 out of 10. Priya's delivery was crisp and modern, with each argument mapped neatly to Oliver's points and refreshed by new angles, diversity, international connectivity, mobile convenience. Her analogies and jokes kept things light and accessible, ensuring her stance was never muddled. 2. Use of evidence and examples. 8 out of 10. She referenced the global impact of Genshin Impact, Pokemon Go, and real-world community events in a way that illustrated mobile gaming's mass appeal. While less historical than Oliver's, her examples were timely and resonated with present-day realities. 3. Responsiveness and refutation. 9 out of 10. Priya was quick to pick up on Oliver's points, flipping arguments about community and economics with wit. She offered clear counters on inclusivity, accessibility, and the realities of arcade expense, and didn't shy away from engaging sincerely with the mental health question, all while keeping her tone playful yet persuasive.
What are your opinions about the debate? What would you like to see AI's debate next? Keep questioning,